What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Path of the Network Marketer. It is day 40, episode 40. All right, episode 40. So today, it's part three in the series called How to Podcast by Ronnie Cruz. A guide. A guide. All right, so this is actually part three in what will now be a four-part series, because after recording yesterday's episode, I realized we needed just one more step to make this a more complete and whole picture instructional guide for you guys. I mean, obviously, I still want it to be as simplified as possible. However, there was just one little key piece that I needed to get into today before closing it out tomorrow. I want to again reiterate though the principles, the three principles of why it's important to keep things as simple as possible in any of your processes, but especially with podcasting. Number one, you want to keep things as simple as possible so that you can launch as quickly and as soon as possible. Number two, you want to keep things as simple as possible so that you can launch and find your voice as soon as possible, right? So that you can get into a groove and get your content on the up and up. And then number three, you want to keep things as simple as possible so that you can stay as consistent as you can in the long term. Those three things are the most important things you want to pay attention to in podcasting and really in everything that you do, but especially podcasting. By the way, if you're brand new to the show, thank you for tuning in. And if you haven't heard the previous parts of this series, go ahead and go back to, it starts on episode 38, and it will go through episode 41. Today is episode 40. Also, if you haven't subscribed or followed the show yet, go ahead and follow or subscribe, whatever it happens to be on the particular app that you're listening on, because, well, I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. We do a new episode every day, at least until day 100, and then we'll see what happens after that. All right, so today we're going to build on what we talked about yesterday, recording. I talked about recording yesterday mostly in terms of gear, and so I want to talk about actually recording today. Obviously, before we get into publishing and posting our shows, we have to have shows to post, right? We have to have actual recordings ready to go. So so as far as like length of episodes, there's no one right format, guys. And again, I think I've said this before, but be wary of individuals who are giving advice that say it needs to be X, Y, and Z and are so rigid in how things need to be. There's no rules. There's no wrong or right. This show, I aimed for an episode length of anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, and that might change in the future. That works best for me right now on this particular show because it's one episode a day for the next 100 days, and so I wanted it to be manageable. Whereas my Path of the Jedi show, the other show that I do, that I started that show out at about 15 minutes per episode on average. It went to about 20 to 25. Now we're at about 30 to 40 minutes. And that's just kind of where I've landed, right? That's a comfortable space and a comfortable place for that particular show for me to be able to talk about what I want to talk about in each episode. So there's no right format, guys. I see I listen to very, very popular shows that run the gamut, right? Like, again, I listen to really, really popular shows that are anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And then there are some shows that go an hour or longer, right? So there's no, again, like, stop with just be careful of the quote unquote experts that you're listening to, because there's no one right way of doing it. So it's just really what works best for you, and what you're most comfortable with in delivering the message and the content that you want to deliver. Now, as far as the actual recording itself, especially in these first episodes, again, really try not to get hung up on making it as refined and pristine and as perfect as possible. And I mean in terms of editing. I mean, obviously, if you're following this guide, you're recording on your phone anyway, so editing is going to be really, to do meticulous editing is going to be incredibly difficult. So minimal editing at best, right? And for this show, right? This show, Path of the Network Marketer, all I do is film record it first on video and then extract the audio and use that. I tweak again the equalizer. I'll tweak the low end just a little bit. I'll boost the high end just a little bit, just so it sounds nicer on the audio. But that's it, right? That's it. I don't do any cutting. I don't do any editing. Again, I can spitball because I've been doing this kind of stuff for ages. But if you do need to edit, again, minimize it, right? You don't want to put any more work than you need to, and also understand we want you to sound human, right? Listeners, I think, would rather you have a couple of ums and ahs in there. I mean, obviously, if it's too much, go ahead and stop the recording and then restart. But like that's natural. That's natural way people talk. If it's too cut up and if it's too refined, you risk people not connecting with it because there's something maybe not as genuine about it as it would be, like, say, in a one take conversation situation. So don't worry about over editing it and how the quality of your delivery. I guess that's the message that I want to convey today, because it's going to get better in time. Your first few are really going to be the most probably cringy, so be okay with those episodes being cringy. I've heard people say, and this again, there's no definitive thing about it, but generally speaking, the coaches and the teachers that I've heard who instruct on podcasting say that it takes anywhere from 40 to 50 episodes anyways for you to really get into the groove and find your voice. So be okay with, especially this first handful of episodes, to be a little rough around the edges, right? And just be willing to just be vulnerable and put it out there, because I mean, early on in your show anyways, you're going to have the least number of listeners then, right? Like, you definitely want to be rough and unrefined at the beginning, versus when you're 100 episodes in. So just getting it out there and recording it and doing it in the first place will be you'll be one step closer to getting better. You'll be one step closer to finding your voice, and each episode that you do, you'll get closer and closer, and of course you'll build your audience as you go. So that's my tip on recording. Just get it done. Don't worry. We are our own worst critics, and understand that the audience is really, they'll be much more forgiving. They'll be much more forgiving than we think. So that's the message for today. Once you've gotten, I would say 3 to 5 episodes, especially if you're recording, if you're releasing once a week, 3 to 5 to kick off with, however much time you have. If you can bank that many, that's great. With this podcast, Path of the Network Marketer, I'll knock out anywhere from 3 to 4 episodes per session, and so I'll have 3 to 4 days of episodes ready to launch. With Path of the Jedi, I really just record one every week, and it's simple. It's simple to keep up with, unless like I'm traveling or going on vacation or something. But for you, as a newbie, if you're just starting, yeah, I would say anywhere from 3 to 5 episodes, and depending on your episode launch. I've heard people say, go ahead and launch your first 3 episodes so that your audience has a library. Your new audience has already a small library to go back and listen to. But that's neither here nor there. I think the most important thing is get things recorded, and then tomorrow we'll talk about posting them and getting your show hosted on the platforms, right? So pay attention. We'll catch that and close out the series in tomorrow's episode. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you tomorrow.